بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وحده والصلاة والسلام على من لا نبي بعده وعلى آله وصحبه ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا أما بعد. As we continue in this book entitled al-Muqaddimah or Muqaddimatu Ibn Abee Zayd al-Qayrawani rahimahullah, whose name was Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Abee Zayd. Muhammad ibn Abee Zayd, who died 386 after the migration of our Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. In this treatise, which is considered from those books of Aqidah, rather you'll find that these books, or the manuscript of this book, was in America. The manuscript was found here in America during the time of slavery. And the Muslims that were brought here, you'll find that some of them are upon the Aqidah of Ahl Sunnah. And you'll find from the manuscripts, and they say that even today, especially with Sheikh Rashid Barbi, where he had brought a good information of even is found in the museum, this manuscript or this book, to let you know that some of the slaves that were brought here to America, that they were upon the Aqidah of Ahl Sunnah. And they were upon the correct creed, and that this actual manuscript of this particular book, or that book itself rather, I shouldn't say manuscript, but the book itself was found here in America. And it's a book that suits beginners, of those who want to learn the correct creed, and that it also caters to the youth. You'll find that the great Imam, Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Abee Zayd al-Qayrawani rahimahullah, that he actually wrote this book in order for it to suit the children. As he said in the Muqaddimah also, we read from last week, he even mentioned that. He said that it was a request from his teachers, who he well respected, for him to write a treatise and author it for the kids or the children who are being raised upon the correct Orthodox Islam. And that to make it summarized and easy for them. So the initial affair of this book, not only was it to teach the people the correct creed, but it was also in order to make it conducive for the children. So they could combine between memorization of the Quran, correct fiqh, and the most important of all of that is their aqidah, is their belief. And the affairs is connected with creed, which is the foundation of all success in this world. Returns back to those affairs. And that the side benefit, like we said, that this book was actually found here in America in the early slavery days. This book was found. And that some of the slaves used to actually learn this book in order to preserve their Islam. Before it was twisted by Christianity and other forms of deviant ideologies. Or it was trying to be erased and eradicated from their minds totally. So those type of affairs, brothers and sisters, is you see how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made the affairs return back to what is correct, where we can sit in the masjid and actually learn these proper fundamentals. It's from a great ni'mah of Allah, and Allah knows best. You'll find that even some of the ulama overseas said that Allah knows best. That's from the dua of those who were oppressed 100 years ago here. That was from their dua. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will save their generation to come, will save their ancestors from the different types of filthy oppressions that was made, especially the affairs of erasing your Islam, which is the greatest form of oppression. The greatest form of oppression is that your Islam is erased, and they try to wipe it from your memory. It's not just color, but the actual affair of you being human was the affair of Islam where everyone was born with. And those affairs to be eradicated or erased from your mind, or erased from your heart, is the most greatest form of oppression. Rather, that was done. You'll find that the ulama said, Allah knows best of why these affairs are taking place within your society now, because it was from those dua of your ancestors who came before, asking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to save our future generations from this type of destruction or this type of oppression. So you see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us to be, inshallah, and Allah knows best, this supplication they made, that it was answered, in which you'll find that a lot of those in this land now are studying this book in this very time right now. And Allah knows best, it was from that dua that they made years ago when they were being tortured and oppressed, and they were being They was facing the tyranny of those people at that particular time. So, like we said, everyone, this type of book is a book of creed, and like we said, it's in addition to now benefiting our children and our youth and raising them upon what's correct. So, if we go back to the book, everyone, you'll find, as we finish the line, where he said, Rahimallah, Abu Abdullah, Muhammad ibn Abee Zayd al-Qayrawani, he said, وَاعْلَمْ أَنَّ خَيْرَ الْقُلُوبِ أَوْعَاهَا لِلْخَيْرِ وَأَرْجَى الْقُلُوبِ لِلْخَيْرِ مَا لَمْ يَسْبِقِ الشَّرُّ إِلَيْهِ وَأَوْلَى مَا عُنِيَ بِهِ النَّاصِحُونَ وَرَغِبَ فِي أَجْلِهِ الرَّاغِبُونَ إِيصَالُ الْخَيْرِ إِلَى قُلُوبِ أَوْلَادِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. He said, have knowledge that the best hearts is that which is filled or contains all good. It contains all of that good. The most hopeful of hearts of that good is that which evil has not been precedented to what? To affect it. And that's what we talked about last class. What was the meaning of that? The meaning, as we said last class, we said that the creation was born in a state where they're innocent. For example, little children, that they're brought upon, or they're brought into this world, and their minds are fresh, and their minds are innocent, until the outside influences of this world corrupts it, and alters it, and changes it. And you'll find that the great Imam has mentioned this here, in this particular paragraph. If you don't mind, boys, can you read that line again for me in English? For those who have the English book, what page is it again? 13.
You should know that the most upright heart is the one which is the most retentive when it comes to absorbing goodness.
The most retentive? That's how they translate it? Yeah. Okay. It said the most retentive of what? Absorbing that good? I'm sorry. Tafadal. Or retaining that good, rather. Tafadal.
That the heart most likely to hasten towards a good deed is the one that has not yet been exposed to evil.
That which you'll find of the human beings that hasten towards that good, of what has not been exposed, of course, to evil. What is he speaking about here? You'll find that Ibn Abee Zayd al-Qayrawani, rahimahullah, he's speaking about what? The children. Because initially this book was made towards who? Towards the children. So he was talking about the affairs of what's pertaining to those children that are born in that correct state, where they have not been exposed to affairs that alter that innocence or twist that innocence. And that they are the ones that's susceptible for whatever you want to absorb that goodness. When they are raised in that manner, and that information that's being disseminated and taught to them, they'll absorb it. They'll absorb it, they'll memorize it, and they'll be what? Hasten towards learning it, of course, and implementation, inshallah, will come also along with that eventually. So you'll find that he mentions, it says, the affairs of what is of good. Taking advantage of the children, of course, not taking advantage, but rather capitalizing at that time where their minds are fresh, and in addition, that innocence, that you try to protect it by disseminating this knowledge. Because that innocence, you'll find that the evil inclinations of this world can destroy that innocence. So you'll find that what happens in this world, they have to be protected. The greatest form of protection is to learn these affairs. That will be their shield to protect them. And so when these affairs of evil happens, they know how to deal with it. And they know what to do when the age comes, or the time comes, when they're raised. They'll know how to now deal with certain affairs of the world in their daily lives and in their daily affairs. But these affairs are taught early to them. You'll find that even the great Imam Sheikh Salih Fawzani mentions this about the affairs of the children having that goodness within their hearts, or the youth, or that time frame where children, or if you want to say humans, inshallah, that they are more attentive, or they have that affair where their hearts retain that information very well. And like we said, during the time of the youth, they are at a state where their memorization is strong, their minds are fresh, and they have that innocence. So they have all those elements, which is the key elements and key factors for what everyone? For learning and absorption. And they're not busy for all the other affairs that when a person becomes an adult, usually they become preoccupied with responsibilities. Not to say, like we said, the affairs of when you become an adult, that one ignores these type of matters. No one's saying that. But we say naturally, was the natural course of affairs within our lives, is that children in this time frame are more capable of what? Learning very easily. Due to all the elements that distract them are alleviated. Because they're being raised, they're being developed, they have innocence, they have that memorization, they have the memory, they have the time where all those affairs that busy us, they're free from that. So you'll find that the great Imam, he says this about this particular matter, he mentions this. He said for the affairs of the Shabbat, or rather you'll find that he talked about the affairs of what alters or influences the minds of those who have that innocence. For example, he says, في وقتنا الحاضر الذي لم ينشغل بهذه المحدثات. He said the most hopeful of those hearts to retain that good. He said the hearts that are free and void of evil. Who is he speaking about? In most cases, who is he speaking about? Children. Talk about children. He said الذي لم يوجه توجيها سيئا. He said and what has not been directed, that evil direction. And then وفي وقتنا الحاضر الذي لم ينشغل بهذه المحدثات وهذه الآلات والآليات التي تجلب الشر من الإذاعات والتلفزيون والإنترنت. He said in our times, in our current times, he says of those who did not became busy or occupied by these newly invented tools or instruments, which as a result of it brings evil. He said from the different channels and television and internet. And other that from the catastrophes that has now opened upon the people those doors. He says, and now is as if these instruments have become in the hands of little small children and babies. He said, you'll find that they're exposed to this type of what? This type of pull or this type of attraction, where it's become in the hands of everyone. These type of methods and methods of evil. سبقت إلى قلوب الشباب. You'll find that they hasten towards, or that took precedence towards the hearts of the youth now these days, or the young teenagers, or the youth in general. He said, to the point where you'll find that these utensils have become so strong, or the wave, or the influence is so strong upon them, he said not even the youth, or the youngest amongst them, can escape its fitna. He said, ولكن لو منعت منها في الأول صارت قلوبهم قابلة للخير. However, if it has not, or if it's been prevented, the effects of these instruments from being, of them being subjected to it, first, where you'll find that the hearts are fresh, you'll find that their hearts will accept this good. Because they're in a state, in a time frame where it's void of evil. فَيَجِبُ مَلْءُهَا بِالْخَيْرِ وَبِعَادِهَا عَنِ الشَّرِّ. He said for this time for everyone, he's raising everyone's awareness that the youth now has to be utilized in the matters where this good needs to be pushed in their heart. And they have to be protected and taken far away as much as possible from the evil. Because like we said last class, certain affairs the children should not be exposed to. For the best of your ability and innocence, they need to be protected. That innocence of children needs to be protected at all costs. When they get to a certain age, of course, then certain things have to be explained. When they're ready for it. And those things come gradually. They don't come at an age when their innocence are being what? When their innocence are being altered or is being taken away. You'll find that little children, even when they play, they don't look at race. They don't look at so-and-so being from this place and you're from that neighborhood, and you're from that street block, and I'm from this side of the area, and you're from that side, and I don't like you because you're from such and such area, or you're from such and such race, or you're from such and such country. Do children even care about that? Do they even think that's their minds when they play with people? It's innocence. All they care about is just, I just want to play. I don't care where you're from. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what block you're from. They don't care about none of that nonsense. Adults worry about that nonsense. It's sad to say that children, based upon their natural disposition, are able to what? Bond and be social with certain people. So when they reach a certain age, now adults can't even what? Interact because of these affairs. That children don't even think about when they want to interact and just want to be what? Innocent and playing around. You'll find that grown adults, 18, 20, and 30, they worry about themselves. Well, you're from such and such street, I don't mess with you like that. Or you're from such and such a race, it's known about you guys. To the end of the nonsense. That you'll find that grown adults preoccupy themselves with absolute nonsense that's in opposition to our religion. But children, they don't care about none of that. They're innocent. They see a person, all they want to do is what? Play and have fun. That type of innocence needs to be what, everyone? Protected. Protected at all costs. When they get to a certain stage in their lives, that's when things gradually are introduced in order to prepare them for certain affairs. But like we said, everyone, so you'll find that which we just mentioned, you'll find that he says about the afflictions of the societies. He said, وَالْمُصِيبَةِ أَن يَسْبِقِ الشَّرْءِ الْقُلُوبِ فَيَصْعُبْ انْتِزَاعُهُ مِنَ الْقَلْبِ فَاحْفَظْ أَوْلَادَكَ وَاحْفَظْ طُلَّابَكَ مِنْ وَسَائِلِ الشَّرِّ وَمَا أَكْثَرَهَا الْيَوْمِ وَمَا أَقَلَّ وَسَائِلِ الْخَيْرِ فالخطر الشديد الآن على شباب وشابات المسلمين. He said that the affliction or the catastrophe now is that now evil is what? Being precedented and being put in the hearts of the people until taking them and removing it from their hearts becomes very difficult. He says, so protect your children, protect your students from the instruments or the methods of evil. And he said how great in abundance it is now. He says and how less or minimize the methods of good have become. He said, for the danger has become severe upon the youth, the teenagers, from the male and female, especially with the Muslims from amongst them. And the methods of evil has become widespread and it becomes easily within their hands. All they have to do is pull it out of their pocket and bang, that's it. The influence of evil is right within their palms. So for everyone, you'll find that the great Imam, he's saying that this is the time frame where we have to what? Try to prepare youth, because now all the distractions, all the influences, inshallah, at this stage, in their age or in this time, you have to capitalize of trying to pour their hearts with good as much as possible. And instilling it, those hearts, good, because this is the time where they'll retain the most information. And they will attain that good that you raised them upon. Cultivating upon those affairs that will benefit them in their life and have them prepared for life when they reach adolescence and when they reach the age of being an adult. So let's keep going, everyone. He said, وَأَوْلَى مَا عُلِيَ بِهِ النَّاصِحُونَ وَرَاغِبَ فِي أَجْلِهِ الرَّاغِبُونَ إِيصَالُ الْخَيْرِ إِلَى قُلُوبِ أَوْلَادِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So he's talking about what we just said. Let's confirm it here. This particular line. وَأَوْلَى مَا عُلِيَ بِهِ النَّاصِحُونَ وَرَاغِبَ فِي أَجْلِهِ الرَّاغِبُونَ إِيصَالُ الْخَيْرِ إِلَى قُلُوبِ أَوْلَادِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. He said the most befitting of what? Those who are true advisors should give great care for. And those who truly have the desire of reward, of its reward, meaning teaching those children and the youth for great reward that the people are looking for with Allah, that they're interested in by what? إِيصَالُ الْخَيْرِ إِلَى قُلُوبِ أَوْلَادِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. By allowing that good to penetrate the hearts of who? What is he speaking about? The children of the mu'mineen. So you see clearly, the book is speaking about who? The children. Speaking about the children. وَأَوْلَى مَا يَعْمَلُهُ النَّاصِحُونَ وَالْمُعَلِّمُونَ وَالدُّعَاء إِلَى اللَّهِ سبحانه وتعالى يَعْتَنُونَ بِمَنْ شَبَابِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ وَبِشَبَابِ الْمُسْلِمِينَ. I'm sorry, boys. Fuck. I want you to read it. I'm sorry.
The thing that the people of advice are most concerned about, and which those who desire this reward most want, is to put good into the hearts of the children of the believers, so that it becomes firmly established in them, and to make them comprehend what the tenets of religion and the limits of the Sharia are, in order that they may be satisfied with that, and to make them realize those things in the religion which their hearts have to accept and their limbs are required to do.
Jade. So you'll find that the great Imam Abu Muhammad, you'll find that he mentions in there as he goes on. I'm sorry, everyone. Abu Abdullah Muhammad ibn Abee Zayd. You'll find that he goes on to say that the affairs pertaining to giving great care to the youth and capitalizing upon this beneficial time in their lives, that he's teaching a methodology in addition to what our ulama today are also given a proper cultivation, which is what we want. He said, for giving great care for the youth of the Muslims, وَيُوَجِّهُهُمْ الْوِجْهَةَ السَّلِيمَةَ. He said that giving them a proper direction, or safe direction. And that يُبْعِدُ عَنْ الْمُشَاحَنَاتِ وَالْحِزْبِيَّاتِ. He said also, taking away from them and keeping them far away from al-mushahanat. He said from those non-beneficial, of course, differences or argumentation and bickering amongst them. And hizbiyat, and affairs of partisanship, meaning being divided into different fractions, groups, and sects, whether it be from the Muslims or whether it be from the kuffar, who are also split into different fractions. He said, for verily upon this time one capitalizes to teach them this different type of etiquette in order to protect their solidarity, meaning their unity, of course. Because the strength lies in unity. Lies in unity and being united upon what is correct. Meaning upon the correct belief. That's true unity. And that unity upon what's incorrect, in actuality, is what? Is considered disunity. Even though people might say it's unity. If people unite upon what's incorrect, it's still considered what, everyone? Disunity. And it's considered from an innovative type of unification. And it's considered a unification that pleases the devil and it doesn't please Allah. Because we have different types of unity. The unity that pleases Allah and the unity that pleases the devil. The unity that pleases Allah is the unity of being united upon the correct belief. The unity of what pleases the devil is the people gathering together upon evil and upon a deviated what? Perverted ideology of Islam or ideologies of disbelief. And those type of so-called gatherings or unifications, they're not blessed. It's just mere numbers. As if they say, it's quantity with no quality. It's quantity with no quality. So it's a unification that's not blessed. And ultimately, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not bless it, and it will be humiliated and disgraced. And those are the type of unifications the devil loves. He loves the innovative type of unifications where the people unite in their bodies, where their hearts are cursing each other, because they're upon different creeds, different beliefs, different ideologies. Is it clear, everyone? So we instill in our children that the correct belief in what pleases Allah, or the correct unity, or being unified, is being unified upon what pleases Allah, which is the affairs connected with what, everyone? With creed. That's the confirmation of the ayah, the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book about the Yahud, saying about them how they united in their bodies, or they united in their numbers, where their hearts are divided. And in actuality, that's true division. Being just, as they say, catering to the facade of the affair, not catering to the reality of the affair. The facade of what is what? Outside appearing to the people. Whereas amongst themselves, they hate one another. As well, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, تَحْسَبُهُمْ جَمِيعًا وَقُلُوبُهُمْ شَتَّى ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَوْمٌ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in his book, you think they're there together. Let me go back to that ayah. بَأْسُهُمْ بَيْنَهُمْ شَدِيدٌ تَحْسَبُهُمْ جَمِيعًا وَقُلُوبُهُمْ شَتَّى ذَلِكَ بِأَنَّهُمْ قَوْمٌ لَا يَعْقِلُونَ. He said, you see how stern they are in their numbers. You think that they're very stern. بَأْسُهُمْ بَيْنَهُمْ شَدِيدٌ. You think they're together, but their hearts are divided. You think that they're together, but their hearts are divided. That is because there are people that do not use their intellect properly. They don't have any sound understanding. Meaning, they focus on the facade of the affair, and they don't focus on the what? The quality of the affair, which is being united within the hearts. That true unity lies within people being unified internally, within their hearts. And the only thing that can unite that is what, everyone? Is the belief, the correct creed. Once one and people have actualized that, and they perfected that affair, it will emanate and it will affect the outer affair. So the asl of true unity starts within the hearts where the creed is correct and sound. Then Allah will bless it where the bodies will be united outwardly also. So now you gather between both affairs, being united inwardly and outwardly, which is the true barakah of what? Unification. That type of unification, everyone, it pleases Allah. Where you now gather between the essential of where unification emanates from, which is the heart. And when we say heart, meaning the affairs of creed being correct, and that the people are unified upon that matter. That affair also is pertained to the hadith of Thawban. The Prophet ﷺ mentioned himself at the hadith where he said, تداعت أو يوشك أن تتداعى عليكم الأمم يوشك أن تتداعى عليكم الأمم كما تداعت الأكلة على قصعتها قالوا أو من قلة يومئذ نحن يا رسول الله قال لا بل أنتم كثير ولكنكم غثاء كغثاء السيل ولينزعن الله المهابة من صدور عدوكم منكم وليقذفن في قلوبكم الوهن قالوا ما الوهن يا رسول الله قال حب الدنيا وكراهية الموت. To the end of the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that all of the all of the nations are going to gather against you, just as people gather around the plate to pluck it off and eat it from the plate. He says it because of our small number on that day, O Messenger of Allah. He said, no, you'll be plentiful. However, you'll be like the scum with a foam that foams upon the water. Meaning you'll be numbers with no what? You'll be quantity with no what? No quality to yourselves. Why? Because you're focusing on the facade of the affair, not focusing on the what? The reality of it. All you care about is what's an outside depicted picture of yourselves. It looks as if things are good. Whereas inwardly, there's a lot of problems. And the affairs of what is true unity is not there. Because you did not actualize what brings good quality to yourselves, where you have been united upon what everyone? The correct creed. And this is what Ibn Abee Zayd is talking here. This is the explanation of what we're saying about the children. Raising them upon what pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that you gather upon what's correct in regards to belief. That will bring true unity, that will bring true love, and that will also protect it. That will bring true unity, true love, quality within human beings, and it will also protect it after it's been attained. So it can continue from being what? So it can continue. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will not change the affair unless the people change within themselves the affair. Right, so let's keep going, everyone. So you'll find that what's binding upon us as the adults is that during this precious time in the youth, that we try to keep far away from them these type of matters of evil, protecting their innocence. He says in which you'll find that the affairs of the youth become busy and preoccupied with certain matters that is truly considered a detriment and a danger to their state, religiously and to their lives. Because you'll find all different calls. A person might say, well, what do you mean? Like what just happened and still happening right now. The call to that innovated jihad. How many of those who are on the street from the youth? And you'll find that the people of evil capitalize upon certain people that have great enthusiasm to be religious. Or something happened in their life, very, if I want to say, not traumatic, but something happened in their lives great. Where the people of evil will see that. Like someone that's down, and they see that they're being tested. So they'll say, you're Muslim, right? Yes. But I'm going through it, but I just want to rectify myself. So you'll find that this is a very vulnerable state. Like someone is now, something great happened in their life. Like I'm trying drugs, would it be drugs, alcohol, prostitution, what have you. So these type of evil people who are upon Hizbiyah will come to these type of young youth. They say, yeah, why don't you get yourself together? Do it for Allah. Here comes the poison. In order to rectify your affair, go fight in the cause of Allah and die in His cause. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will rectify your affair, you'll go straight to paradise. Not really realizing that the affair of what they're calling them to is something what? Greater than what they had went through of that particular catastrophe they were being tested with. So they went from one catastrophe to a what? To a greater one. Based upon the fact that they weren't educated of the affairs of deviant sex to protect their innocence, to protect sometimes when they're in a state of great vulnerability. Because people are evil like to capitalize upon that also, using people's emotions against them. Similar to now, how you'll find the deviant sects from the Nation of Islam, they use black people's pain in order to what? Misguide them. You were slaves. Remember the oppression of so-and-so? So they bring them out of one oppression and they bring them to what? A greater catastrophe. So you understand the point I'm trying to give everyone? How people evil are so evil, they'll even capitalize upon people's pains and people's bad experiences they've been through in their lives, in order to make you fall into a what? A greater evil. Is it clear? So that's the reason why you'll find that the ulama mentioned and say, keep these type of ideas away from the children and the youth. Because their innocence could be utilized against them by what they call being naive. Or being naive, or sudaj, or sadij, or sajada, which means basically being naive. And people will what? Capitalize upon it. Because we live in a society now, people are very evil. They'll capitalize upon your innocence, they'll capitalize upon your vulnerability, and they'll try to make you fall into something greater. If you don't have proper insight to know who's who, to maneuver through the type of what? Tests and trials that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has laid out for the human being in this world. Is it clear, everyone, what I'm saying? So like I said, if you find, that's what you, in every land, every country, you'll find there are people out there catering towards their emotions. Have you emotionally aroused? Say that what you've been through in your particular time in your life, now you are down on you are in your most vulnerable state, you are doing drugs, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brought you out of this, and they'll be crying and saying, yes, 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 not realizing that this scorpion is what? About to put some other poison in you and pull you into something greater, of a greater catastrophe. They do it all around the world, from the cause of jihad, cause of Sufiya. They'll capitalize upon the youth, coming to them and saying, why don't you come here? This will be something beneficial for you. You are out in the street, yes, and I'm going to get myself together. So they try to capitalize upon that moment in your time in your life. Well, yes, I'm trying to get out the drugs, I'm trying to do my right, I want the religion, that's all I want. You see the innocence and the vulnerability, what they want to capitalize upon? Oh, why don't you come over here? So they want to utilize that enthusiasm to cater towards their what? Misguidance. Those are the type of things that we have to protect the Shabbat from, and protect the what? The youth from. Is it clear, everyone? So these are the affairs that we're basically is explaining what they're saying right here. So let's keep going. So you'll find that those people who say, oh, don't busy the youth with affairs pertaining to deviant sects, don't busy the youth with that. Keep them away from teaching them. Is that correct? No, that's incorrect. The children have to know who the deviant sects are. These are times to teach them little what? Generalities. You don't have to go into too much details. The sect of so-and-so, the Islam, the pure Orthodox Islam is this type of group here. As when you get to a certain age where you think they start to comprehend, you tell them a little bit of this, a little bit of that gradually, until when they become at a point in time, it's clear. It's clear. However, what I want to now give insight to those from us, from amongst the adults. Be careful of how you teach them of the word kafir or hizbi, because like we said, in certain realms, yes, there's a time, you have to also teach them, it's a time and place for what, everyone? Everything. For you now to come, he says, oh, Dad, so-and-so, and then the non-Muslim stand in front of you. Why would you want to go down there? A kafir, Dad. You're like, you understand? Now you understand where I'm going with it? Dad, why are you going in the car with that kafir? You understand? Those are the type of wisdoms we also have to instill in our children. Son, there's a time and place for everything, okay? Yes, they are kuffar, but we also have to have what? Manners. Have manners and know there's a time and place for everything. So keep in mind all those affairs, adults, that's addressing all of us. Is it clear, everyone? What you do in your house is exactly what those children are going to what? Their innocence, they're not realizing what they're doing is wrong, but based upon their innocence, they're going to what? Emulate that in public. And it can be good if it's good. If it's bad, then it's what? Then it's bad. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. So let's keep going. So you'll find that he mentions, it says, وَهَذَا هُوَ الْوَاجِبُ عَلَى الْمُعَلِّمِ الَّذِي يُعَلِّمُ التَّعْلِيمَ النَّافِعِ أما الذي يعلم الطلاب هذه الأمور فهذا يفتنهم وما أكثر من يقومون بهذا في المدارس. He said, of course, those who are truly people of good, who truly have knowledge, they instill in the youth the tariq, the method of the ideologies of the Salaf. They develop them upon that. This is what's obligatory upon the teacher. Teaching them this beneficial knowledge, of course, of what suits their level at that particular time. And then once more time elapses, preparing them for other things and building it bit by bit, gradual process, until they're ready at that level to be taught something a little bit more, building upon it. So he said, these are the affairs of what? Of what one is supposed to do in regards to their education and in the schools and other than that. He said, فَمَا تَقُوا فِي فُلَانٍ احْذَرْ مِنْ فُلَانٍ لا تجلس مع فلان ويترك شرح المقرر الموكول إليه شرحه ليعرف الطالب الطريق الصحيح. He said, you'll find, of course, no doubt, teaching them the bare essentials in regards to what will benefit them and what you see and when they're ready for. Of course, when the 3 or 4 or 5-year-old, they don't understand the affairs of minhaj, the certain affairs, when you tell them that's Sufi or what have you. But when the time is right, and you see that they have that mental, intellectual, or understanding that sees as if they're ready now, then you teach them a little bit more. Like, son, now you have to realize that in Islam, when they reach a certain age, you'll find that they say, you have to be careful. There are different fractions and sects out there. And they are from those affairs that anger Allah. You always have to make sure you keep the affair tied in with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That Allah does not like deviation. Allah does not like the people to be divided. But you teach it at a stage and a time frame when they're what? Ready for it. And the time when they're what? Ready for it. Right, so let's keep going. إِيصَالُ الْخَيْرِ لَقُلُوبِ أَوْلَادِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. He said, of course, the teacher now will take on the method, which is the proper method that will teach them that good to make sure that their hearts are now receiving that good from the children of the believers. So to make sure that they receive what will truly prepare them for life and what will benefit them. I'm sorry, keep going, Wish. You're almost finished.
Moreover, to impress upon us the need to educate them on what their hearts should believe in and what their limbs should act upon. For it has been narrated that teaching the book of Allah to children extinguishes the anger of Allah, and that teaching something to a child leaves an impression lasting that is indelible.
Go back to the part where it says the hearts of the believers, or the children of the believers. You see it? Go back to that line.
Teaching the book of Allah to the
No. He says, إِيصَالُ الْخَيْرِ إِلَى قُلُوبِ أَوْلَادِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. In order to have that good go or penetrate in the hearts of the children from amongst the believers. You see it? You see it? You don't see it?
The thing that the people of advice are most concerned about.
Yeah, that's it. Mm-hmm.
In which those who desire its reward most want is to put good into the hearts of the children of the believers, so that it becomes firmly established in them.
Exactly. That's it. So it could become firmly established within them. That's it. Keep going.
And to make them comprehend what the tenets of religion and the limits of the Sharia are in order that they may be satisfied with that, and to make them realize those things in the religion which their hearts have to accept and their limbs are required to do.
Jay, so you'll find that this is where we'll stop it, inshallah. He says, as-sirat, the youth, in which you'll find that if they're raised in this particular time where they're receiving this basic information, it will settle in their hearts. So it will penetrate, it will settle there. يرسخ or as-sirat يرسخ العلم في قلوبها. You'll find that the knowledge at this particular time, once they're taught, it will stick and it will settle in their hearts. And this is something that everyone knows. For the children, if they're taught in this particular time, it will just become like, as we say, the ABCs, meaning it'll be implanted in their memory forever. Of what we now, what we read, of course, what they say, وَمَا نَقْرَهُ الْآنْ يَطِيرُ بِالسُّرْعَةِ وَلَا يَسْتَقِرُ يعني الكبير ليس كالصغير. So of course, in our days and time, or of course with some usually in adults when they reach a certain age, he said now we read something, he says how much you'll find we forget, how quickly we forget in certain instances. He said because usually when a person reaches adult, they can retain certain information, whereas they will forget others. But the youth usually, this is the primary the greatest state that one can capitalize. And like we said last class, that's not negating the person that reaches a certain age that they didn't learn Islam, regardless of what age they're in. But however, the course of affairs where everyone sees clearly that the fresh minds of children is the most primary and the most greatest time to capitalize and make sure that good is being taught. He said, for turuq al-diyana as-sahiha, what the affairs of the religion that's correct, or the methods, is what's upon the kitab and sunnah, which those diyanat are a lot. Those affairs of the religion are plentiful. The affairs of the religion that is correct is what has been in accordance with the kitab and sunnah, and what the salaf of this ummah is upon. That we allow that to settle in their hearts, and we make that firm in their hearts. So they now will capitalize where they memorize these principles, so they can be raised upon it, and they'll remember these matters, and they'll be implanted in their memories when they become older. He said, for verily, teaching them now and loving it, and showing all those good traits of the religion, and making the affair of this matter be instilled in them where they love it. Not traumatizing the children, but showing that good and that concern and dealing with them with gentleness and kindness. And within that, they'll love the affairs of what they're being raised upon. And they have a good example. So when they recall, when they were youth, they had an enjoyable moments in time, where not only were they being educated, but they were also being treated properly from those who are older than them. So now when they recall the affair, they'll love the matter even more, and they will now cherish those moments when they were children. So these type of matters, brothers and sisters, like we said, teaching them the good, and at the same time being gentle and kind with them, gathered between all these affairs, they will grow up and they will learn to love these matters, love worship, love the religion, and be proud to be a Muslim, and proud to be a practicing Muslim with the sound creed. Those matters are what is our goal that we're trying to actualize. So we're trying to raise them upon what's correct, and at the same time, them loving what they're doing. And loving Islam because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed these affairs for the human beings to love it. Not for them to feel as if it's a burden. But to actualize the affairs of worship, where if their proper creed has been embedded in them, and they know that they're doing it for Allah, instinctively they will start to enjoy the affairs of worship. And know that this is an affair that is very enjoyable. It's enjoyable to satisfy my soul, satisfy my heart, satisfy the affair of why I'm human in the first place, and why I was created in the first place. Because once you're satisfying that goal, and the human being really knows truly that he's trying to satisfy his Lord, he will eventually start to find the affairs of worship as a form of relaxation, and not being an affair when it's a burden. And you'll find that those who do not truly raise up upon what's correct, the children are looking at it as if a burden. Why? Because they don't know why they're doing it. You'll find that you're doing it to satisfy your father or your mother. No, you're not. You're doing it to satisfy the one who created you. That you're doing this, son, to order to attain the pleasure of the one who created you. And that Allah loves this matter that you're doing. And that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you a great reward for what you're practicing and what you're establishing of worship. Those matters is why we've been created and why we've been put into this existence. So, those matters, like we said, everyone, of what the children are being raised upon is to rectify the hearts first. But then let's keep going. وَلِيُرَادُوا عَلَيْهَا وَمَا عَلَيْهِمْ أَن تَعْتَقِدَهُ مِنَ الدِّينِ قُلُوبُهُم. So now he's talking about the affairs of Aqidah again. We already just mentioned that. So it says of what? In order to make them pleased upon that affair that will be raised, which is of course worship of Allah, the affairs of the Diyana, and learning the boundaries of the religion. He says, and what they will be upon of what their hearts believe firmly. So he starts with the affairs of creed. Then he talks about the affairs of actions. And then he'll talk about the other matters. So we'll stop here, inshallah. Any questions about the lesson, anyone?
When's the next class?
Next Thursday.
This is every Thursday?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Every Thursday, 7 o'clock. Anything else, anyone?
So we just stop on that, just continue on for that next class?
Mm-hmm. Next class we'll continue on that point. So keep in mind, like I said, the great Imam here was catering towards the children, catering towards the youth, teaching the methodology of how to teach them to make sure they receive the proper education of Islam. In addition to, it's incumbent upon us as the adults, is to make these affairs loving in the hearts of the children. Like, we have to really be careful of how we raise them, how we speak to them. Go ahead and pray. That when you cultivate a child upon that, when he gets older, he thought he's going to have a memory of prayer being a form of what? Discipline and punishment. You understand? I told you to pray. You didn't listen to me. I told you to pray. Go to that corner. Stay there. Sit there. So I tell you not to come out the corner. Hey. So the ways the affairs of worship should be what? Instilled in them as an affair that they love, not a form where you utilize it to punish. Matter of fact, the opposite, I want to say. Let me say the opposite. You didn't pray? Or, for example, or you didn't read. Well, let's just say for use the prayer. You didn't pray also? Or you did pray also? Or did you do that book? Didn't I tell you to do? Didn't I? Then the voice gets raised. And then the children becomes nervous, and they start to shake, and they become scared. All those affairs is making these matters what? As a form of, if you want to say, traumatizing them when they become older. Come on, let's go to the masjid. Or you didn't clean your room? You didn't clean your room? All right, go to the masjid. You didn't clean your room? Go pray household. You understand? That's improper cultivation. You didn't clean your room? Go pray household. You didn't clean your room? Go to the masjid. Why you gotta use the masjid as a form of discipline? Why you have to use the prayer as a form of discipline? You understand? Don't use the prayer like that. Oh, you didn't do what I tell you to do? Go pray. Uh-huh. Exactly. Do it anyway, based upon the fact it should not be used as disciplinary measures. I don't know why adults do that. Or you didn't do what I tell you to do? Read Usul al-Thalatha. What are you using that as a disciplinary action for? Or you didn't do what I tell you to do? Go pray Isha. You didn't do what I tell you to do? Okay, then go to the masjid then. Wrong. So when they get to a certain age, what they're going to do? They're going to rebel. Why? Because the type of memory you planted in their head was something what? That worship was a form of what? Punishment and disciplinary measures that were utilized in order to get them to so-called do what you wanted them to do. No. You should not use worship in that way. Use worship in order for them to say, listen, son, these are affairs that Allah loves. Don't you want to please the one who created you? Yes. Don't you now want to be in a state where Allah is pleased with you? Yes. This is what Allah loves. Allah loves that you pray. Allah loves that you do these things. And to a certain point when they will now start to be raised upon, loving to please their Lord. So those prayers will be done because they know that ultimately I'm doing it for who? I'm doing it for Allah. And I'm not doing it for my parents or anyone else. Rather, it's for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Even though we teach the parent or to teach the children also that obedience to your parents' son also pleases Allah. That also is pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you shouldn't make the affair about you specifically. Always keep the affair revolving around pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's how we raise the youth, and that's how, inshallah, these affairs will become comfortable for them and they will become enjoyable. And it won't be something of a burden, in which a lot of us that we make it look like it's something burdensome. Or you just got to do it because you got to do it. No, you don't have to do it because they got to do it. They're doing it because this is why they were created. They're doing it because they're trying to please their Lord. They're doing it because this is the reason why we're in this existence right now. We're trying to carry out the mission of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like, anything else, anyone? Anything else? Like, we'll stop here. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك